Um, when you're looking at self improvement, which is a lot of what Learn Charisma is, because it's a learning process, and there's a lot that goes into it, from posture to tonality to your cadence, like how fast you speak, um, physical gestures, physical appearance, dress, all these things, attractiveness. Self improvement encompasses so many things. And good morning, Bunny. Um, we've been waiting for you to arrive. So, self improvement, effort, and timeline. And usually there's like three big ones. We say physical, game, and money. Or in this case, I said physical, game, and business. So, physical, if you're talking about amount of time, return on your investment, and I would say certainty. So with physical, it's very easy, per se, straightforward to do. It usually takes anywhere. I mean, for a skinny fat guy, like when are you going to start seeing results? Because I've owned gyms and we've trained thousands of people physically. So I know this one very well. I know game and I know the business aspect too. But this one I've been doing since like the 80s. You can see for your basic like skinny guy, you can see results within like 4 weeks, 6 weeks. If we're talking about just like literally like they look different, it's very rapid. It's extremely rapid for talking about effort and return on your investment. But usually it takes a little bit longer for your average guy. Let's say a guy starts picking up weights in his 20s, and he's lived a pretty normal, somewhat sedentary video gaming life up until he's like 21 or 22. Realize this will help him. It's going to take about 2 to 5 years before someone will see you and go, "Do you lift?" There's a look. There's a certain amount of mass that carries over, and a lot of it depends on genetics, but it is the most straightforward. As in, when you go into the gym, it's very black and white. 45 pounds is 45 pounds wherever you're at, no matter what. And it's you versus you. You have the most control over this part of self-improvement is your physical improvements. And you could include like learning how to dress better, improving your posture. All these things are like posture can be done literally instantaneously. And, we straighten guys up, get their chest up, and they look different. They're more attractive immediately. And there's a lot of like mental, how your brain perceives appearance that goes into that. Certain appearances, certain postures are more attractive to women than others. So we can teach you to be more attractive instantaneously, just by the way you're standing, carrying yourself, gesturing, speaking. But physically, when guys think about physically, they always say lift weights. And you and I, we think everyone lifts weights because we do, and we've been doing it since we were like 14, and we're in that culture. But the fact is that literally no one exercises. Less than 1% of the population, U.S. population, exercises regularly. And an even smaller percentage of that understands what game is. So you're in a very teeny tiny, you are the outlier. You are the oddball. If you don't eat junk food and don't, and exercise, you're normal if you eat like shit and never exercise in your life. That's 99.99% of people. All you need to prove this is your own eyesight. If you go to a mall or a store or an airport, anywhere, a stadium for like a pro game, and you look around and go, holy shit, I'm the only person that's in shape here. There's literally tens of thousands of people there. So physical is the easiest, most straightforward, takes 2 to 5 years, but you can see improvements like within months, which is rapid, when you're talking about changing your physical state. Game, I say, is the second level and the second hardest, because with physical, it's you against you. With game, you're dealing with the wild card of women. So, and other people and personalities and her ex-boyfriends. Kind of like I always say, you know, if a girl ghosts, it has nothing to do with you, because guys will be like, you know, this girl ghosted, and then, you know, what did I do wrong? Well, you didn't do anything. You did nothing wrong at all. It's just 99% of these women have some guy in the background, an ex-boyfriend, an ex-baby daddy, an ex-husband, boyfriend that's in jail, and they get out, and the girl has more time with him, so she's going to put you on the back burner or completely disappear while she focuses in on this one guy or two guys. But game is more tricky because girls are weird, but your fastest results are 6 months of focused effort. If you look at game, you give it 6 months of looking at this at least an hour a day, 7 days a week. Things are much easier done 7 days than 3 or 2 or one time a week. You will see visible in your bed, in your life, the way women react to you results within 6 months. But there is more of a wild card because you're dealing with other people. Anytime you deal with people, it can become tricky. So that's the real deal with game. And just like I've conveyed to people, I probably spent, you know, after my divorce, how did I get into game? I had a lot of things working for me before I got married, like that I stumbled into. I started lifting weights when I was very young. I was always in athletics. I joined a fraternity. I joined the military. I worked at a comedy club as at the door for like 2 years when I was about like 19, which if you know anything, I mean, it makes you very quick-witted. It makes you're funny. You learn a lot of things simply by absorption. I did debate, you know, there's a lot of things that like kind of like all came together that gave me a lot of skills that would be useful in game, very natural. But then when I got divorced 20 years later, learning game through Chateau Artiste, it took me a few months of like reading Chateau over and over and some other influences. But just even like learning the language of game, you know, even the word game, like what was it? And then you start looking at very game specific vocabulary like negs and pickup and all these other things that you do have to like literally drill down like the language because you can get lost pretty quick. But game takes time. And again, there's variables like women. And the last level is money. And I think it's interesting that more people pursue money, more men, I should say, pursue money than any other thing. I mean, they would much rather pursue money than women or a good physique. And it's the most competitive. And it really is the hardest because there's so many variables. You can do everything right, but a couple pieces of bad luck and you have 10 years and you have nothing to show for it. You can do everything right and still get shit. Plan 5 to 10 years. Guys are always like, you know, dedicate 6 months. And even just opening one gym took me 5 years, just total focus for 5 years. And you have to kind of give yourself 10 years to like really 5 years to see everything at least once, but 10 years to like know how to roll with it. And you'll see even like guys that are in different industries, they say usually it takes about 5 years to see everything once, but 10 years to really establish yourself. And even then, these things come in cycles. You can get wiped out at year 10, you can get wiped out at year 12. You know, some things just never take off. Like Bunny and I say, one of the most dangerous things you can have is a good enough business. And that means it doesn't lose any money, so you don't have to like abandon it, but it doesn't really make enough money to make you wealthy. It just makes enough money to kind of like cover you in the downturns. And that's one of the problems with like fitness. I mean, I chose a bad industry to get insanely wealthy because the downturns tend to eat up all of your profit that you might make in 8 or 10 years. And that's like COVID wiping out a lot of my peers. And any type of recession wipes out a lot of my peers. But again, there's other businesses, liquor stores, fast food, the kinds of things that are always in demand, and people will actually knock your door down to get what you're selling. But just know that when it comes to self-improvement, physical is the easiest, most straightforward, easy being relative. Game is number two. You can get results physically and in your bed within 6 months, sometimes 6 weeks. There's some things that are instantaneous. We can teach you how to text better. We can teach you how to stand better and what not to do. We can do that like in one day, and you can literally like start improving your game immediately. And then business is always the wild card because there's so much competition, so much luck figures into it. Really, like who picks up the phone and calls you, who refers someone to you. A lot of it is complete luck. You can do a lot of things in your own favor and put yourself in a right position and be prepared for good things to happen. But a lot of it, when you ask guys, well, how did you become successful? They're like, I just got lucky. Right guy walked in my door one day, and then I started building off my relationship with him. So, a lot of it has to do with luck, or family money. You can carry on a tradition. But that's the real deal. So self-improvement timeline, fast is physical, game is second, and then business is the hardest. And you can do 20 or 30 years and have nothing to show for it. We talk about yes girls, maybe girls, and no girls.